Thomas Piketty, après la crise, le temps de la monnaie verte. Thomas Piketty, after the crisis, the time of the green money. L'arrêt économique pourrait être mis au profit pour réfléchir à une relancée par des investissements dans les secteurs comme la santé, de l'environnement, avec une réduction des activités les plus carbonées, estime l'économiste dans sa chronique au Monde. This economic standstill could actually be met with a profitable condition to rethink about the value creating by pouring money into business investments related to the sectors like health care and health industry environment, with much alerted devotion to the reduction of the carbon emissions. As an economist estimates in his column on Le Monde. Une éolien dans un champ de colza est Magny. The wind turbine goes on in the field of rapeseed in Magny. Chronique. La crise engendrée par le Covid-19 peut-elle précipiter l'adoption de nouveaux modèles de développement plus équitables et plus durables? The crisis engendered by the COVID-19 could probably precipitate the adoption of the new model of the development with much greater equity and duracity to sustain the duracity as well as fairness. Would that be possible? Oui, mais à condition d'assumer un changement clair de priorité et de remettre en cause un certain nombre de tabous dans l'aspect monétaire et fiscal qui doit enfin être mis au service de l'économie réelle et d'objectifs sociaux et écologiques. Yes. But it comes with the conditions. On the condition to assume a clear change of priorities and definitely work on a number of taboos in the monetary and fiscal sector, which should be devoted to the economic service. And which should be recalibrated for socio and ecological objectives. So there should be a rework on different priorities that should entail the real people's economic sector by focusing on the macroeconomics to sustain the market economy as well as our people's real lives. And also taking a greater factors into thought from the socio-ecological objectives. Il faut d'abord de mettre à profit cet arrêt économique forcé pour redémarrer l'autrement. It should also gain profits by relying on the situation from this type of economic cessation and arrest forced, which is really a good chance to reinitiate other sectors. So it should also gain a profit from this type of a standstill and the arrest of the economic system forced by the coronavirus to reinitiate and restart others. Après une telle récession, la puissance publique va devoir jouer un rôle central pour relancer l'activité de l'emploi. After such a recession, the public power and the public policy is going to be obliged to play a central role to relaunch its activity and to create more of employment. However, il faut le faire en investissant dans des nouveaux secteurs santé, innovation environnementale. But this type of innovation should focus on the investment related to new sectors, public health, healthcare, innovation, environment, et en décidant une réduction graduelle et durable des activités les plus carbonées. And also, it should actually funnel its energy and monetary resources into much sustainable and durable activities with a lessened carbonization. There should be a focus on the carbon neutralization by focusing on durable and green activities with a gradual reduction of carbon emissions. Concrètement, il faut créer des millions d'emplois et augmenter les salaires dans les hôpitaux, les écoles et l'université, la rénovation thermique des bâtiments et les services de proximité. Concretely, it must create millions of jobs, definitely, and it should also augment and increase salaries for those in the hospital sectors and those related to hospitals. Those medical workers should be paid more, and there should be greater investments in schools and universities, and also there should be a renovation concerning thermal energy to heat up the building and to provide hot water heated by the thermic energy, and also the close connected third-tier services. They're close related direct civil services, right? Dans l'immédiat, le financement ne pourrait se faire que par les dettes et avec le soutien actif des banques centrales. Right now, as of now, immediately, finance represented by the stock markets could only be more of a debt creation, especially with active support to sustain central banks. Think about it. This would be no different from the financial crisis by pumping more money into the central markets to prevent the systematic fallout, right? So according to Thomas Piketty's viewpoint, as of now, immediately printing out more money to help those struggling banks, which would be none but more of a debt creation. Especially active engagement to finance central banks on the verge of going bankrupt. Depuis 2008, ces derniers ont procédé à une création monétaire massive pour sauver les banques de la crise financière qu'ils avaient même provoquée. Since 2008, the latest events have proceeded to create monetary subsidies by a creation of the stimulus package to save those banks during the last financial crisis. Which had at the time also equally provoked themselves, because they were also divided concerning the legitimacy as well as the following consequences because of the governmental intervention, because in return of the subsidies they were supposed to give in to the governmental authorities, then that would actually reshuffle the governmental power in the free market. So that had already actually suscitated enormous provocative controversies amongst them also, right? So if you ever actually create that in since 2008, those latest events that have actually followed and preceded after the monetary creation which is really a support for the TARP type of stimulus package to save banks in the financial crisis that had already actually created enormous controversies, right?
Le bilan de l'eurosystème, le réseau de banques centrales piloté par le BCE, a été passé de 1150 milliards d'euros au début de 2007 à 4075 milliards de fin 2018, c'est-à-dire de 10% à peine, à près de 40% de PIB de la zone euro, 12 000 milliards d'euros.
The report card picked up by the Eurosystem in the network of central banks, first attempted by the European Central Bank, has already passed 1,150 billion euros at the beginning of 2007 to reach 4,675 billion euros at the end of 2008. That is to say, at best, 10 percentile to approximately 40 percentile of the entire GDP of the Eurozone, which is equivalent to 12,000 billion euros. Can you imagine that? The actual calculation made by the Eurosystem in the network of the central banks piloted by the European Central Bank has passed from 1,150 billion euros at the beginning of 2007 to be around 4,675 billion euros at the end of 2018. That is to say, at best, 10 percentile, from a 10 percentile to approximately to 40 percentile. So you actually, experience this type of surge. That is to say, it was from 10 percentile at best to be around 40 percentile of the entire GDP of the Eurozone. This is not one country's GDP. The GDP of the entire Eurozone, sharing the euro as a currency, that is really, the 40 percentile means 12,000 billion euros. The following is reserved for those subscribers. Already subscribed? Please sign in or log in. Or you can actually, be a subscriber to read more. The death of the Patrick Devedjian, a lieutenant who literally injured Nicolas Sarkoz's attack as he was shamed. Yeah, he was ashamed by Nicolas Sarkozy. The death of the Juan Jimenez, carried away by the COVID-19, is really an animator, comic drawer, dessin, illustrator, comic author.
Coronavirus en plus et déconfinement sous la pression de l'opinion.
A plan of the desegregation under pressure of the opinion, approaching the second step of the struggle against COVID-19 epidemic. Or you can actually say the epidemic or epidemic crisis. Because I actually read it as a noun, but I discourage you to do so because that's not proper in English. Because you actually said epidemic, that should never be a noun. Because I kind of actually saw that not many people use it that way. Even though that's in a dictionary, do not use it. Just simply, pronounce it as epidemic crisis, epidemic. Just simply say epidemic as noun. That's enough. But the thing is, even though this was included in a dictionary, maybe it was adopted from a foreign language that would not be frequently used by people. Don't do it. Oh, okay. The government tries to find a line of credit to give a faith back to its own people, since it is really caught between the necessity by the French people to rediscover liberty and eradication of the virus and resumption of the social life.
Nous ne pouvons faire le malin avec le virus.
We could not actually play a devil against the virus. The Prime Minister, Edouard Philippe, one person who has already called for a new demand Thursday, May 7th, during the presentation of the desegregation plan by the government to eliminate lockdowns gradually. So he's really the head of the executive branch, truly marches on the eggshells with the precarious steps as of now to liberate the French people after 8 weeks of the self-isolation and confinement conducted voluntarily by the country.
Que le gouvernement lâchait trop la bride, c'est l'épidémie qui menaçait de repartir.
If the government loosens up its grip on the disease, then it could definitely come back to menace the rest of the population by making its return.
Mais que les mesures de lutte contre le Covid-19 restaient trop strictes et c'est le groupe social qui risque de se cabrer et de refuser le contrat qu'on lui imposait.
And it's a social body which risks its derailment. And it also endangers possible refusal of constraints that could ever be imposed.
Le risque, c'est que l'opinion casse, que la population jugeait les règles de sécurité imposées par l'État trop restrictives ne les respecte plus.
The risk, which is really the opinion, that's been closed. That's been actually, broken. That's been very dedicated and decided firm. If the population truly would judge this as social security measures imposed on them by the government too restrictive, too suppressive, then they would reserve no respect for them anymore.
L'analyse est le directeur de département d'opinion de l'IFOP, Frédéric Dabi.
The director of the department, the press department from the LIHOF, the National Statistical Data Branch, Frédéric Dabi analysis.
Au moment d'entamer la seconde étape de la lutte contre l'épidémie, l'exécutif s'est donc efforcé de faire preuve de souplesse dans l'élaboration de son plan de confinement qui doit débuter lundi 11 mars.
As of now, to tame, at least initiate the second phase of the struggle against the epidemic crisis, the executive branch's head now makes its effort to demonstrate and reveal its flexibility in terms of elaborating and expounding its plan of desegregation, which may reveal itself starting from May 11th. So that is at least scheduled for now. So that is supposed to take place starting from the May 11th. Even though it says droit, not necessarily in this case it should be a should or a must but at least it is scheduled to reveal itself in this context because, French journal, I actually read it about devrait. That means, it might actually take place. You can actually say that in journal. Objectif.
Concevez le soutien de majorité de Français en trouvant en ligne de crête, comme l'annonce le Premier ministre, entre la nécessité de recouvrir une partie de non-liberté, lutte contre l'épidémie et la reprise de la vie sociale.
Objective definitely is to conserve the support from a majority of the French people while finding, at least searching for a line of credit to actually fill up the chasm of credibility, ads which has named by the Prime Minister, he himself, between the necessity of recovering a part of our liberty while fighting off this epidemic war, and having a gradual maintenance on returning to our social life. It means reprise of the social life.
Il faut tenir compte de l'acceptabilité sociale jugée Sacha Houlier.
Sacha Houlier judges that he should also take account of the social acceptability. This, member of the National Assembly from the party called La République En Marche, from Levian. This is the reason in France.
Si la société estime que les attentes en liberté sont trop fortes, il y a un risque que des règles ne soient pas appliquées.
If the society estimates these, attacks and assaults on our liberty are too strong and powerful, then there is a risk that these rules may not be applied or may not be respected by the people who should review this way.
La méthode en premier lieu a radicalement changé en l'espace d'un mois.
The method, in the first place, has radically changed in the space from its first month.
Après avoir exigé lors de son allocation de 13 avril que les règles,
after having been demanded during its allocation starting from April 13th, the regulations, and I cannot actually see it anymore.
저녁 안 먹어?
저녁 안 먹어.
아빠는 저 소세지 먹는다는데.